Welcome back to Fact Bloom Insights. On the morning of December 6, 1917, the city of Halifax, Nova Scotia, awoke to what seemed like an ordinary day. But by 9:04 a.m., the course of history would be forever altered by an event so powerful, so devastating, that it would become the largest human-made explosion prior to the atomic bomb. This is the story of the Halifax Explosion, an event that flattened a city, left tens of thousands changed forever, and stands as a stark reminder of both human fragilities and resilience. Halifax, at the time, was a bustling port city playing a crucial role in World War I. The city's deep natural harbor was a lifeline for Allied convoys, a hub where ships from across the Atlantic would gather, refuel, and rearm before heading out to sea. On that fateful morning, two ships were making their way through the Narrows, the narrowest stretch of Halifax Harbor. One was the SS Mont-Blanc, a French cargo ship laden with almost 3,000 tons of explosives, picric acid, TNT, benzol, and gun cotton. The other, the Norwegian vessel SS Imo, was heading out to sea, empty and running late. A miscommunication and series of navigational errors brought the two ships on a collision course. At 8:45 a.m., the Imo struck the Mont-Blanc, scraping against her hull and igniting sparks. Almost immediately, a fire broke out on the Mont-Blanc's deck, sending smoke billowing into the sky. The crew, aware of the cargo's deadly potential, abandoned ship, shouting warnings as they fled in lifeboats. On shore, crowds gathered to watch the burning ship drift towards Pier 6, unaware of the catastrophe about to unfold. At 9:35 a.m., the Mont-Blanc detonated. The force of the explosion was unfathomable. Estimates suggest it released energy equivalent to approximately 2.9 kilotons of TNT, or about 1/5 the strength of the atomic bomb dropped on Hiroshima. The blast wave leveled buildings within a 1.6-kilometer radius, shattered windows across 80 square kilometers, and hurled pieces of the Mont-Blanc for miles. One of the ship's anchors, weighing over 500 kilograms, was found more than 3 kilometers away. The immediate human cost was staggering. Over 1,900 people were killed instantly or died from their injuries. Among them, entire families, dock workers, sailors, and curious onlookers. More than 9,000 were injured, many suffering from burns, lacerations, and blindness caused by flying glass. The Richmond district, closest to the blast, was obliterated. Scarcely a building remained standing. An estimated 12,000 buildings, about half the city, were damaged or destroyed. The explosion itself was only the beginning. The blast triggered a tsunami, with a wave as high as 18 meters crashing into the shore, sweeping people and debris into the freezing harbor waters. Fires broke out across the city, fueled by shattered homes and leaking oil. To compound the tragedy, a blizzard swept through Halifax the following day, hampering rescue efforts and leaving survivors to face bitter cold without shelter. The statistics are stark, but behind every number is a human story. In the aftermath, the city's hospitals were overwhelmed. Doctors, nurses, and volunteers worked tirelessly, often in makeshift conditions, to tend to the wounded. The explosion also caused one of the largest mass blinding events in history. More than 600 people suffered serious eye injuries, an event that would later spur the founding of the Canadian National Institute for the Blind. Relief and aid poured in from across Canada and beyond. Boston, in particular, responded swiftly, sending doctors, nurses, and supplies, a gesture that forged a bond between Halifax and Boston that endures to this day. Temporary shelters were erected, orphaned children were cared for, and a massive rebuilding effort began. The devastated Richmond district was transformed, eventually giving rise to the Hydrostone neighborhood, one of Canada's earliest planned communities. In the months and years that followed, the Halifax explosion prompted significant changes in maritime safety and emergency response. Regulations for the transportation of explosives were strengthened, harbor traffic procedures were revised, and the importance of effective communication in preventing disasters was underscored. The psychological toll of the explosion lingered for decades. Survivors told stories of loved ones lost, homes destroyed, and lives forever changed. For many, the trauma was compounded by the sense that the disaster could have been prevented, a result of human error, miscommunication, and the fog of war. Yet, amidst the devastation, there were countless acts of heroism and compassion. Firefighters rushed towards the burning Mont-Blanc, unaware of the imminent danger. Railway dispatcher Vince Coleman sacrificed his life to warn an incoming passenger train, saving hundreds. Neighbors pulled each other from the rubble, shared what little they had, and rebuilt their lives together. The legacy of the Halifax Explosion is complex. On one hand, it stands as a testament to the destructive power of human technology and the consequences of oversight and error. On the other, it is a story of resilience, of communities coming together in the face of unimaginable loss, and of the enduring human spirit. Today, more than a century later, the memory of the Halifax Explosion continues to shape the city's identity. Memorials mark the sites of the greatest devastation. Every year, on December 6th, Haligonians pause to remember those who were lost, honor those who helped, and reflect on the lessons learned. The disaster is taught in Canadian schools, not only as a historical event, but as a reminder of the importance of safety, preparedness, and empathy. The Halifax Explosion was a tragedy born of war, haste, and human error. But its aftermath revealed something profound: the capacity for communities to heal, to support one another, and to emerge stronger from the ashes. The stories of survival and solidarity that emerged from the rubble continue to inspire, encouraging us to remember the past, learn from it, and strive for a safer, more compassionate future. As we look back on that cold December morning in 1917, we are reminded that history is not just a record of dates and statistics, but of human lives, of suffering and courage, loss and hope. The Halifax Explosion was a blast that flattened a city, but it could not extinguish the spirit of its people. In their memory, we find the strength to confront our own challenges and the resolve to ensure that such a disaster never happens again. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share to follow the next videos.